presentation, right?
Is that our audit?
Yep.
Oops. How do you get the online rep? How do you get the online link? Is it on like our social media?
It's posted on the website on the Zoom, and then you should have it.
All right, good evening. It is Thursday, December 19th, 2024. I'd like to call this Board of Education business meeting to order with the Clear Creek School District. It is 5:01 p.m.
Flanagan.
Here.
Haig.
Here.
King.
Here.
McHugh. North.
Here. I look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Haig. King. North.
Yes. Board of Education updates.
You know, this meeting snuck up on me a little bit, which it probably shouldn't have, but I've been saying it's Friday every day this week. And I know it's not. So I don't have a ton to update, but I did want to just say a couple of compliments to everyone. One, I did go to the Carlson Winter Conference on Monday, and if you weren't able to attend, I'm sorry that you missed it, because it really felt like almost like an open house welcoming for the school. It was packed. It was the first time that I've been in the gym with the movable bleachers kind of in and being occupied. It was by far the most attended concert at Carlson that I have been to in the years my kids have been at the school. And it was very awesome. And the way that it all worked out with parking at the lower lot and how much more community members were able to attend, I think is really a testament to the community and the support of that bond. And I could not help but be prideful of the work that our community has done in that space, and really looking forward to more opportunities for our community to get into to that space and into that school, and was really wonderful. And kudos to every music teacher who can teach a second grader to play a recorder, and to play a recorder to the point where you actually could identify the song that was being played. So just really a wonderful job. And then also I was happy to attend, of course, our party last night, which was really nice. I think the vibes were great, as the kids say. And kudos to Tommy Knockers also for their willingness to do the labeling with the Clear Creek Foundation. So if you did not get a package when you left, what's included in there is a beer and a root beer with custom labels that Tommy Knockers put together with the QR code for the foundation to be able to donate back to the foundation. Goes on our landing page with lots of different ways that you can give. And as you know, I am a big fan of SWIPE, which is stealing with integrity, pride, and enthusiasm. So I made sure to send pictures of that to some other district foundations in the state that I am still involved with as just an awesome best practice and a way to really engage your local business community to support your schools. So I was really pleased with that, and can't believe that we're wrapping up 2024. So thanks everybody for the good work so far.
Well, obviously, since last meeting, I attended CASB with Kelly, Jessica, and Tom. And while there, I attended some great breakout sessions, but some very interesting ones about the use of AI in school, as well as banning cell phones in school. So there were some great sessions. If anybody wants to know what was involved in that, I'd be happy to have a discussion about that. Let's see what else has happened. We had our CLOSE meeting this week. Just a few notes from that. Jenny Meyer will be switching from a shared SPED teacher position between Dublin and Clear Creek to be full-time here. So that's wonderful news starting in January. We have a new OT who will also be starting in January. The differentiated instruction surveys were completed, and no surprises came back from that. The results were about as we expected there. We also changed a line in our mission statement for the Blue Sky Go-Cities. It used to say to ensure that all staff support exceptional students according to their unique strengths and needs. And and we have updated that to say, provide differentiated instruction that enables all students to learn and progress academically. So we did this in order to show that we are here to support all students and not just those with special needs. I joined a meeting yesterday with Becky Dancer and Sunny Vincent to talk to JCMH about potentially partnering on a mental health and wellness grant. And it sounds like talks are progressing very nicely for that. Let's see, I wanted to mention this today because I had a resilience board meeting earlier. And Resilience 1220 is looking to implement their peer counseling program here at Clear Creek High School next year. And so they are asking for our help on our side with identifying peer leaders here at the school who will be willing to work in this program. So I think that's something that we're really hoping. I say we, Resilience, is really hoping that we, Clear Creek School District, will be willing to kind of step in and really try to find those peer leaders that we feel will be the best stewards of that counseling program. The Resilience 1220 board has a youth liaison. He is a junior at Evergreen High School. His name is Tyler Guyton. And if you have not heard him speak, he is amazing. And will someday be president of the United States.
Hopefully.
Right. And anyway, he is our youth liaison, and he is holding a youth-led event at the Evergreen Bread Lounge on February 2nd from 4 to 6 p.m. And he would love for youth from Clear Creek High School to attend this event. So if you could spread the word, that would be wonderful. So it is going to be solely led by the youth and for the youth. I mean, we'll have adult representation there from different organizations, but it's really created by the youth in order to best support their youth. So I think it's kind of a great kickoff to this peer leadership for high school kids.
My only update is DAP, which I will do under the DAP.
Okay. Yeah, all of those meetings that the Opioid Abatement Council Region 10 is looking to put together an advisory board. I attended a meeting before they were getting organized back in February of this year. So I'm willing to continue to work with them, but I wanted to bring the opportunity forward in case somebody else just really is passionate about it, because I know Carrie Ann does a lot of work in that field as well. So I have talked with her a little bit about it. I think we're going to split it up that way. But that Region 10 is made up of Jefferson, Clear Creek, and Gilpin counties. And meetings right now are tentatively scheduled for the fourth Monday of each month. And Tom promised that he would come to a few of them with me. What they're looking for is strategic input on funding allocation. Right now, that's really helping to fund our CHAT program. To collaborate with key stakeholders, healthcare and recovery organizations, and to shape innovative evidence-based solutions tailored on unique needs of our particular region. So if anybody has ideas or has communication with others that you'd like me to bring back to this group, I'd love to. I have also sat in on the last 2 months of the Business and Community Promotions Board meetings, and I have those, but so has Tom. So just to make sure we've got that community presence of what we're doing and bring that back. So yeah, fast and busy month. So I'll turn it over. Yeah.
So as far as superintendent updates then, there's a few things I have in your notes there. With winter sports participation, kind of have them on the board there. I think maybe I sent those to you also. Kind of seeing those things are in full realm that way. I think that the important thing to recognize is that research shows when students are involved, whether it's extracurricular activities, sport, or clubs, or whatever it is, attendance, grades, behaviors, disciplinary issues, all those things are positive. So I think anything we can do to get students out, get them interested in it, and I've talked to Brian some about that here too, and probably Brandy too, somewhere along the line, but just recognizing that. Talk about doing a book club. I think I talked to Casby about that. Maybe I think we talked to Casby about that. Think about doing a book club, but not just with school, kind of offer up to all of you, frankly, and anyone in this room, but also offering it up to our teachers and our community as a whole who wants to be involved that way. And I have a list of community people, leaders that I send things to, probably around 30 of them, something like that. And I may be reaching out to them. Someone have any thoughts on that? Just throw that out there if I start something up. The book I'm looking at doing possibly is The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, that talks a lot about, he talks about cell phones before, Erica. I don't know if he talks about AI, but he talks about the whole social thing, and then there's another book called Generations. It's about a year or two older. I've presented on that in the past, which is really interesting. You look at your generation compared to those kids in third grade versus those kids even who are seniors. It's a very interesting book as well. So I think either one of those. But and if anybody wants a copy of Generations, for sure I have a couple extra copies of that. So I may look at doing something like that after the holidays, kind of in those winter months when it's colder, people don't want to maybe do as much. There might be something to do. They can read a chapter or two and we can talk about it. It can be virtual or in person. So it's something that I'm probably going to be doing that way. I appreciate your help with that too. Crisis response handbook training. We're having that we have some PD with that. We have some restorative practices PD for our elementary teachers and our middle school, high school teachers in January. That Friday in January, we're going to tag on a little bit of crisis response that way too, to let people know. We also shared that, unfortunately, we had to share that with the neighboring district just over the weekend for this week with a death they had in their school system. I want to give Sunny credit for getting all that information out. Had a contact Sunday morning, I think it was, and so we shared that information. I have not talked, I guess I did talk to him briefly, it was helpful, but I know he was looking for it that way. So their superintendent. So I think that was good for us to share that. It gives them some guidelines on how we handle things, not that they would do things the exact same way, but I think it just goes to show that it's needed. Unfortunately, it's needed. Holiday parties, somebody mentioned that before too. Had that last night at Tommy Knockers. I don't know what the attendance was, numbers, I honestly can't tell you. I think we had 125 RSVPs. Some people who RSVP'd did not attend, but some people who did not RSVP attended. So you kind of had probably a balance there. Like, I don't know. But I think it went well. I had good comments. I had a few emails today from people. And I said I'd pass those along to the board as well. So I think it was a good time. It was more mingling, a lot of mingling. People were there till I think I left about 5 to 8. Maybe it was 8 when I left, but there were still some people hanging out in the outer area that way. So I think it was a nice thing. And Tiffany Fontaine won the PTO, so I become middle school, high school secretary someday. Brandy's looking forward to that.
I cannot
wait.
I'll let you know.
I'm gonna need to do some training before that day. So I said, I gotta get an infinite campus. I can do infinite campus to a point, but so it sounded like Angie was excited about it too. She was even more excited than Tiffany.
She's one of the ones that had 40 of her name in there.
So I'm actually looking forward to it. It'll be I think that was good. So I just want to thank everybody for that. Some of our district leadership had been doing some some leadership profiles for us to get to know each other and maybe how to work more effectively with each other and recognizing who we are and who they are. And maybe when I'm thinking this way, they're thinking a different way, and kind of balancing those out, recognizing where we're at. We've been doing some training. That we have a retreat coming up in end of January, something like that, for part of the day. But we also have had some one-on-one meetings with Chris Wetzel from I can't think what company it is right now. We've had some one-on-one meetings with him on the phone. So I believe it's been useful for me, even though I looked at it, it's like, I really like that. And it's like, yeah, I probably am really like that. It's been, the people I've talked to, district leaders I've talked to, like, it's pretty accurate. Yeah, it's pretty, it's
What
like,
tool did you use?
I can't think of the name of it right now. It's in my bag, actually.
It was a long one.
Disc.
Yeah, it's this something.
Yeah.
But I can say what it was that way. But I know some companies use it as well that way. You know, it's good. It's good. I've taken it before. I don't know what my results were, but so that's just something we're working on that way. With skill sets of AI, Erica mentioned AI, and she mentioned cell phones as well. I did attach something of the Durango principles or their guidelines for AI. I know some of you went to that session. I went to another session. They shared it there as well. Also went to a Westminster schools. They talked about AI. A lot of things there. And I think their point is that there's benefits and there's drawbacks. But we also have to recognize preparing students for their future after they leave here. You know, it's like we don't want AI, we don't want cheating. Have to get away from that belief that people are just going to cheat with it. You know, we also have to get it out to our teachers, and some teachers are using it already. But and our adults as a whole. Go ahead.
I thought one of the comments that they said was perfect. They said if your students are able to use AI to cheat, you're asking them the wrong questions.
Exactly. 100% right. If and I guess I've always kind of said that if they're copying down someone else's work, that probably means you're not asking the right kind of question, having them do the right kind of work that way. I know I had a session and we had some follow-ups to it with even a first grade teacher. We had a first grade teacher who was looking for some things and led through it. I don't know if it's going to really be helpful. Found some lesson plans that way, adjust it, rubrics, whatever, adjust it to fit her students' needs. And I think that's some way of looking at it that way too. So we're looking at having some training. Talked about it briefly in the leadership meeting this week, or last week, this week, now, sometime we talked about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's interesting because some schools are using AI systems in order to help with differentiated learning.
Mhm.
So within a classroom, so if you have students who are at different levels and you want to assign them different homework based on their levels, you can use these AI curriculums that will just say, okay, easy, medium, or hard is your assignment, and the AI automatically generates a lesson based on where that student sits. And so it's amazing what it can do, and I think utilizing it.
If you just, the thing I always encourage you, just take a half an hour. Just take a half an hour and just type things in there. There's also different AI programs. Magic School Bus is one of the big educational ones. But just, you know, taking that time just to explore, because that half an hour will go so fast, you'll be on an hour before you recognize it. But I think there's also some legalities with it. We have to think about, we have to use it correctly, but our students know how to use it, and they're going to use it, and adults can use it as well. It's very useful. I don't use it enough myself, probably, for things, but there's stuff out there. But it's also important to, what I had someone tell me, to triangulate that data. Make sure that what's telling you is accurate too. You can't just take it for its word. Make sure it fits for what, it's almost like a spell check. It's like, well, yeah, that's not the word I want in the one you're suggesting. So just some things there. We talked about cell phones also, and the use, the requirements of policies, the need, emergency. So we're having conversations that will probably come up more in the next few months in board meetings, both those items as well, and with staff meetings as well. But things are constantly changing. And then Eric, also you mentioned the Youth Mental Health and Wellbeing Challenge Grant. It's from the Attorney General's office. That goes over a wide scope of things, anywhere from cell phones to social and emotional support to academic support in certain ways. So we're looking at some different options with that of what we need, both now and in the future. So trying to be, a little forward thinking, where are we going to? And when we look at grants and things, and making sure that we can support the things that we have on grants right now in the future through other grants as well, and make sure we're providing for our students in different ways. So those are just a few things I have.
I know our students are still at practices. Do we have any updates from them?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you. Then we'll move on to the audit. And I don't know who we have here from McMahon.
Give me one second.
Demi.
Demi.
Oh, and Louise.
Welcome, Lillian and Demi.
Hi. Yes, I am an audit manager with McMahon. I've been with McMahon about 10 years. We have been auditing Clear Creek for 4 years. And then new this year for us was Leah, your most recent addition. I would just like to say that Leah did an excellent job. She was responsive. We spent about a week on site going through all of Clear Creek's accounting records, verifying all of your accounts and making sure everything's in order. So let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, so here is the audited financials. If you scroll to our opinion, this is basically a clean audit opinion. It states that the controls are in place, that there's no material misstatements, that the financials that we're presenting are in order. The next piece is the management discussion and analysis. A lot of this for the board you'll already know and have already gone through the year. So we'll kind of just go through that. No major activity other than really the spend down of your most recent bonds for renovations. That's kind of your biggest new activity. If we come down to your statement of net position, the only real big changes I'll point out, your net pension liability is increasing. There's not really anything that you can do about that. That's the state of Colorado. And then, of course, your, let's go down to your general fund. Total unassigned fund balance is about $6 million. If you divide that into your total expenditures of $11 million, it's approximately a little more than half. I think that's a good, healthy fund balance. Always a thing to remember with school districts is that your revenue fluctuates and depends on property tax, which is collected primarily in February. And so you need that fund balance to give you that cushion to supply the funds for your payroll expense throughout the year. So overall, no major changes in our financials this year, no major accounting implementations. So everything I would say is pretty straightforward for purposes of our presentation. Are there any specific questions on the financial statements that you would like me to go through? Okay. And then last to present is your board letter. This is just what we write to let you know of anything that we came across in the audit, any recommendations we have, and also disclose any estimates. There were no difficulties encountered in performing in the audit. Again, Leah was great to work with. We found her to be knowledgeable, able to answer any of our questions and provide us with anything that we requested timely, which is always a really great sign. You all want to make sure that you can get your audit done timely and have that information available. So it's very important. Our only recommendation was in the activity funds. This has actually kind of been a rotating comment that your secretary at your high school kind of has access to all areas of the accounting cycle. So they're accounting for everything, all of your activity funds and putting in a QuickBooks. They're doing it cleanly. There's no issues there. It's just that when you have one person that is doing the full cycle, there's just a risk of control risk there that we think the district should consider or look at, maybe if there's another person that can help segregate the duties for the activity funds. So any questions about that?
No.
Okay. I'll stop sharing. Well, every year we appreciate working with the school district, and we had another great audit this year. So no other real comments from us. Any other questions you have for me? Okay.
I just have a question for Leah, I guess. As we talk about looking through the recommendations and the activity funds, and you all are making a recommendation to mitigate some challenges around who's signing on the accounts. Do we have this individual that is recommended to not sign? Are they currently as a signer right now?
Yes.
And are we going to take them off?
I'm definitely open to having that conversation. I think Brandy would probably be the most logical signer for the activity fund. So I think yes, as long as Brandy feels comfortable taking on that responsibility, there's no reason why we couldn't remove her.
I mean, to me, that seems like
Oh, okay.
a clear way to kind of close a little bit of a gap and just make sure we've got those internal controls. We have a small team, so this is always going to be a challenge, but that seems like a recommendation that is completely doable, and I would like to see us do that. I don't know if we need a formal motion to make that happen or not, but I think it's important.
Well, I think, and Lee and I talked about this a month ago, when it was sometime, and I think that seems like just to have, even though nothing's going wrong.
Right.
Okay, nothing's going wrong, and mention that, it's just that double check, just that protection for everybody involved, protection for all of you, protection for the different people that way. It's just a natural thing that we
And
have.
originally, since we started opening this conversation, it wasn't originally written to actually remove her as a signer, but I did start getting bank statements from her just to have another set of eyes on the activity. But yeah, to me, this is a relatively easy change to make, and it's always good to just have that check and balance in place. And then also, Brandy probably, the numbers always tell a story, so kind of more information, overload Brandy, but
I did it in the past,
okay.
but I also had a second person that would double check me as well. So
Yeah, and right now, there are a few signers on that account in addition to Stacy, myself, Tom. Brandy is already a signer. It would be more or less removing her.
Gary, answer the question.
So, and it's more of a statement, so thank you for bringing that up. We did discuss this last year, and none of the people that we discussed it with were in this.
I don't remember discussing Scary, just so you know.
But I would like to see, since we're into the second year of asking for this to be done, if you could just report back to us that, hey,
It is
it's done.
finished.
We're good here, we've made the motions and.
Absolutely.
Do we need a motion to
We do
formalize
that.
that, or do we not? From the
I don't think you
auditor's
necessarily need a
perspective,
motion for that, but we could just do it in a word report back that we're doing it and make sure that's happening.
And
I mentioned to Stacy that there's some internal control issues. I didn't mention to her exactly what that would look like going forward, aside from asking her to start sending me bank reconciliations. But I don't think this will come as a shock to her either.
Well, I think it's
It's much
important to
simpler.
reiterate that it has nothing to do with her performance or
Right.
that we're worried
No,
that anything is
Not at all.
wrong. It's not that at all. It's just protecting our whole district, and it's a recommendation that we can implement. But I would want to be very clear that it is not the board's position that she's doing anything nefarious or wrong at all.
Right.
We're just
Agreed.
trying to tighten the process where we can. Thank you.
if you can just loop me in, because then I'll change the job description and then just from an HR perspective, make sure she understands as well, like just as a follow-up.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what Stacy's holiday schedule looks like, but 1st of January, I'll get on her calendar. We can have a discussion with Brandy and Tom and just close the loop.
Not big
Thank you.
Thank you, audit friends.
Yep. No, I think it's great that you're discussing it, and you're a great client for us to work with, and I think you have a good team. So keep doing the good work. So
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm up.
Thank you guys for giving me some time to talk today just about a new schedule that I would like to propose for next year. After starting and doing a lot of research and just collecting data, we're currently on a rolling drop schedule in middle and high school. For those of you that may not know, that means there's 8 classes a week, but kids only attend 6 a day. And so After looking through that, it was great for our redesign and it had a lot of pros at the time. But as we evolve and move as a district and our programs such as Warren Tech or Concurrent become important, I think it's time to pivot and move to something that would be more beneficial for our students, that also increases instructional time and just allows for extra electives and different things like that. So you should have it in your board packet if you do. The way this came about is I experienced it and then I had a meeting with Dr. Meyer and asked if I could start creating a committee to kind of look into what this may look like if we were to change it, make sure the teachers didn't want to cut my head off or anything like that if I was going to change something they absolutely love. So put some fillers out there and everybody was open to it in the school. We created a committee of teachers. We started having department chairs this year, which is a teacher that's over their department, so we can have teacher leadership within the building. They were part of the committee, secretaries, support staff. And so we kind of started with that. Anybody in the building could submit a schedule that was important to them or something they thought would be beneficial. And we went over about 6 or 7 schedules, 2 days and Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving. There are 17 people on the committee. We narrowed it down to 3, and then we presented those 3 to our entire staff. There's an overwhelming majority that chose the schedule that's currently in front of you. There was only one person that chose something different and it was almost identical to what you're looking at. And then we had a PTO meeting. We started doing that this year, and community was invited in to come and give their feedback on what they thought. And they loved it as well, so that was great. We talked about pros and cons. And then this past week, I got to meet with student council president, some other students in the building, and let them look through the schedule. Also, our school board students that are supposed to be here, they got to look at it. So the feedback has been positive. We're increasing instructional minutes. Kids will no longer see teachers 3 times a day with the schedule, but they will see them every single day. Even if you think, oh, 30 minutes is not a lot, it is for kids, and teachers get their hands on them every single day. So I think that was important. We are not minimizing Connect. There's just a minute less, so we'll still have that piece where kids can connect to someone in the building. Passing periods are staying the same. However, I noticed our poor middle schoolers were like starving by 1 p.m. So we also moved lunch up a little bit for them to balance out. So instead of being at 10:45, it can be around 11:30. High school, this opens up more elective choices. It also opens up where kids don't have to miss actual class if they attend Warren Tech. Right now, we have students that only get to go to class for 15 or 20 minutes before they have to leave. I feel like that's not equitable for them to do that. If you want to go to Red Rocks, then you can go to Red Rocks now the same time every day and not miss those classes. You can plan that into your schedule for high school kids. It also allows for, if you're a coach and you're a teacher, we can put your planning periods closer to the end of the day. Our kids are not missing instruction in your class because they're now gone and we're not having to get a sub. It opens up for them to choose more electives. And let me backtrack a little bit. Right now, every high school student is required to take study hall, and every middle school student is required to take something called academic success. Now, I do think study hall is important for kids that take AP classes or want extra time to work, but I also don't think it should necessarily be required. I think it should be an option. So we can still offer study hall every period of the day, 1 through 7, and a kid can choose to take that if they want. If not, they can focus on something that they care more about. We have principles of construction. We have new CTE business classes. So I think that's fun for them to be able to do that. Academic success, a majority of the work is done in class by our middle schoolers. So I think being able to connect in another class where they find something important and then they look for that career pathway in high school is better than sitting in a 67-minute class where they're not getting instruction. So I think that's exciting to have those options. Let me think. Anything else? You guys have any questions?
You answered all of the questions.
Is 4 minutes enough for passing period?
Yes.
You don't want to give them any more.
I always laugh about that because
It's really little, so her legs have to go really fast.
I used to joke around about that. You know where I was at, and I go, let's take a walk. Let's take a walk. We're going to start way over there, way over here.
So with middle school being predominantly downstairs, they just go from like door to door. But one thing, this
So their
house,
science class. Up those stairs.
they just walk up the middle stairs. But we gave them 15-minute passing periods in between their exams yesterday. just to give them a little break.
That's a long time.
And yeah, and they were like, we don't know what to do. And I'm like, go back to class. So I think 4 minutes is good time. But yes, I think the school feels proud about it. I wanted to be able to honor teachers that have multiple preps, being able to build in plan time for them so that they're not shorted as well. And I think overall this school does that, so.
And I would say that overall, anytime we're doing or initiating something like this, you've done the exact right thing, right? You've reached out to all of your folks, you reached out to the kiddos, you got the 360 review and you got buy-in, right?
Yeah.
That's what we need. I think
Good point, Carrie.
appreciate
Great
that.
point, Carrie.
The one pain point I know I brought up to you, so I'm sure you've already heard it, was science labs. Do those educators feel like they're gonna be able to have enough time to complete?
So just coming from past high schools that I've been at, we have lab hours that we can build in. So it's really exciting, or you could put it next to Connect, different things like that. So Miss English and I sat down because it's important to teach AP, that way those labs can go long. You're really only losing 10 minutes per period, by the way, but just to ensure the kids can do everything with fidelity, we can build in lab hours in her schedule. So that was good. She was excited for that.
And so would this go into place or be implemented next school year, or would we start like next semester? Like, what
No,
do we do?
we wanted to give everyone time to adjust, plus we have to rebuild that into Infinite Campus and build a master schedule based off of this. So next year, 25, 26 is when we can start.
Thank you so very much.
Appreciate the time.
Lexi, thank you for joining us.
I'm second grade over at Carlton, and I'm here speaking for CCCDA today. So I'm just going to read the statement that we have here. Prioritizing students is and always will be the foundation of the association's mission. We urge the district to focus on retaining high-quality teachers and cultivating a stable, supportive learning environment for students and their families. Additionally, we encourage the board to carefully review all spending and assess their alignment with the district's mission. In challenging financial times, it is vital to allocate resources towards directly supporting students and addressing their educational needs. In particular, we urge the board to consider how to make sure that positions are able to effectively meet the requirements of the role. This especially comes into play when roles are outsourced or conducted out of state. These personnel are often disconnected from the staff who are doing the work and are less accessible and therefore less effective. While the association advocates for these priorities, we urge you to carefully decide where our money should really be going, as your decisions have massive consequences on our schools and most importantly, our students.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, just a short update. We completed the draft survey, which is in the board packet, and staff was just asking each board member to review the survey and see if you're happy with the questions, do you have any additions or any changes. This is basically it. There are some small cleanups that need to be done still, but this is basically what's going to go out to parents, educators, and then a third group of just taxpayers, I guess we'll call them. So it's going to be these questions, and then depending on how they answer, it breaks it out into the category that they are. And so if you guys could just review and provide any feedback by our meeting is the 6th. So if you could just provide feedback to me by the 6th, our meeting back here, so sometime before 4. And then the plan is to finalize it and have it ready to go in February for parents.
And would this go, as we're thinking about how we reach the other?
Yeah.
How do we get to the other?
So I did reach out to Beth, and she's happy to send it to her list. And then, did you have a list of?
Yeah, I think the EDC could.
Yeah. So I think between those two, that's a good reach. And then if anybody else has any other, contacts or lists, that's I know that's just pretty far.
Yeah, that's probably the best one.
I was just saying, I was at the meeting where you talked about this last 2 weeks, then a board meeting and something else going on, but I think, the point of reaching out beyond parents and staff, reach out to community. I think that's good because maybe it's their taxpayer money. I mean, it is, so they feel they have a, that ownership. And I think getting them connected to the school.
Yeah.
I mean, in some way, I mean,
Well, there's so many people that are like, well, I want kids in school.
Exactly.
I don't care, and then it's kind of makes them realize it.
Right.
It does gather.
It does. And I think some of the questions lead them into figuring out what's maybe going on in school.
Yeah.
Or what's out there. So I think that's a.
I'm excited to see that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think it's a good, this one is an error doing the survey with that, but I feel really good about it.
Oh, another question. So this is going out in February, you said?
Yes.
The results would come back and then we talk about those. I think we talked about, making sure that we're gonna talk about them at
Yeah, so I
March
don't
or
know when the
April.
results- By the time they get them back, it could probably be April,
Yeah,
which last year was like end of May, and it just was bad to be.
I think it's important. I think you and I have talked about that. It's important to have that conversation in April at the latest. You know what I mean? Instead of May when, school's winding down.
People are checking
No, I'm just being honest. Let's just be honest here. I mean,
That could be some of the feedback that I could take back to them is like, when you send us out, can we set a date for, for you to provide the results to us, maybe by March?
Yeah.
Or March.
I think it takes some time to put that data together to figure out what those themes are, but possibly using AI. We don't figure out those things. I've done that before. But yeah, April. The master data calendar is for March. Yeah, we did that.
And just a process question, and you've probably said this before, so I'm sorry. Has student government looked at any of this? Are there questions that they would be interested in knowing? That this might be an opportunity to ask a question or two from their perspective?
No, we haven't addressed that, so I can.
I don't know if it's too late and you're kind of too far down, but it might be interesting to
I think they meet
leverage our.
weekly, so I could probably sneak it in when we get back.
I'm gonna send some feedback on the back end, but I'm wondering if this isn't a possible vehicle for possibly reaching out to some of those parents that aren't, or people that aren't parents of homeschoolers.
Okay.
Right? Like, is your kid a homeschooler? And why did you choose homeschooling? Those are two key things, or at least the whys, or something we need to know how we can encapsulate.
Or we can even expand it, include that, but also, do you live in this, if you live in this district and you send your kid somewhere
That
else,
one
like,
too.
where, why?
Right,
you know.
like, can we extrapolate some of that information so we know how to gear our marketing?
Yeah.
Right.
And do you prefer feedback like the way I'm doing it right now, like random chicken scratch?
Whatever
Or would you prefer an email? How would you like to get our feedback?
Just an email with some notes, it doesn't have to be too formal or anything.
I'm gonna buy her a beer and.
Okay. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't think we've got anybody from the CAT online or, okay. Recognitions, celebrations.
Recognition celebrations, just a couple things there maybe. Senior Post. The Senior Post up last year, I think it was the first year that we painted them. There's the paint and getting it off without ruining the blacktop that way. So we did posts. I don't know if you want to talk about posts. I don't know a whole lot.
Yeah.
I know that up.
I said we were going to paint the parking lot no matter what, and that didn't happen. So I wanted the seniors to have something fun. So Pam Genzer came up with a really cool idea of having, if you have like normal handicap signs or stop signs, and the kids designed them, they got approved, they got printed. Aaron from maintenance went down, put all the posts in for us, and the kids now have their parking spots. So pretty cool idea. I kind of like it better than the painting, to be honest.
And then they can take the sign.
With them, yeah, when they go. So, and it's a lot less work for the kids, honestly. That is a pretty cool idea.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I texted a sample one to
Thank-
you, so.
I have to take a pic- I have a picture.
Yeah, they're all out there if you want to
Same.
drive.
So you can see Kara's of this.
Yeah, I'll have it in the nugget when we come back
That's
tonight.
pretty cool.
Forgot to put it in this weekend.
And they all fought over their parking spots too.
Oh, yes, they did.
That's
Next
the
year I'm doing
biggest
random
challenge.
walk.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's really the biggest
You
challenge.
charge more for the ones that are sought after the most.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't know.
So some other things, I think that was a good, I think it's actually maybe better even that
It
way.
is.
So, some other things is some experiential learning going on a lot of different places. From at King Murphy, they had food trucks, they had a mining expedition. I wrote about those in the Weekly Nugget. And then the kindergarten students interviewed PK students about what kind of toys they like, and then they created some toys out of that. But that was really good. Georgetown did a hydroponic tower indoor garden that way. It was through a grant. I want to say $10,000. It was a grant of some sort.
From the foundation.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think that was a positive. Because I left out the Safeway and Kellogg's. Carlson got some money from Safeway and Kellogg's both, and some books, I guess. Money and then books that way. Greenhouse progress at the middle school, high school. It's a $20,000+ project. They have $8,000, I believe, something like that.
Or close
I
to
was
10.
gonna ask that because when I was reading that, it kind of sounded like they needed 20,000 more, but it's
No, it's
20,000 altogether.
yeah, it's like
to make that-
22,000, I think.
Okay.
I might have it here. I don't know if I didn't write it in there. I don't think. But so yeah, they are still working for some money that way.
Sure.
It's going to be a worthwhile project, and to have something like that it's just great for kids learning, but it's also beyond.
Is there
just
something
learning.
out there that kind of goes into more of what that scope is? I'm super curious.
I can get something for you.
Okay, that
Or-
would be
or
I can send
Brandy and
it.
I can get
Do you just want to know what the project entails and what we're going to do with it?
Yeah.
We're trying to start a horticulture class and some different things, so we'll send it over for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Kelly, go ahead.
Just a suggestion maybe, or a partnership opportunity is thinking about how to partner with Scraps to Soil for compost for within the greenhouse, and that might be a great thing. I know that they do that, and they provide it for the community garden in Idaho Springs, and that might be a nice partnership. Lucy Cruzalegi at Carlson and George Marlin kind of run that, or started it. I don't know if they're still the runner, but I think it would be a really cool partnership if all the materials could.
You said Scraps to
come
Soil?
Scraps to Soil, and I'm happy to make a connection if you need it, but I think that they'd be very interested in figuring out how to partner.
Brandon, I can talk to the teacher and the students involved that way. Some other things going on. RTA Architects actually recognized Carlson Elementary in the Association for Learning Environments. Carlson was a winner for both the, go to the next slide. Carlson was a winner for both the Summit Award for renovations and also the Educators and Student Choice Award. So that's a pretty big honor. There'll be a news release coming out about that soon. I'll throw it in the nugget too. I just talked to Rachel today, I think it was, and she told me about it. I kind of knew about it from Lorraine earlier. So, but there'll be a news release coming out about that too. Had all the winter concerts that way. Friday buildings, good turnouts. I did not get to all of them. I got some of them, which is great. I think it's a way to just, I mean, we talk about reading, math, science, and everything like that. But if you're a music teacher, this is the way you show what your kids are doing.
Is there any
This is
way
the
that,
exhibit right there. Go ahead, Karen.
is there any way that we can broadcast some of the winter concerts? Because we have a generation in Georgetown that would love, but they can't.
You know what? And I'm not sure of our capability on that. I know that where I was at before we started doing that, just with we had, and it was the thing we noticed that some people didn't come to concerts or stayed home. We also broadcast games, but it's a great thing. But for those people that just can't, or it's cold that night,
Yeah, it's
rainy,
kind of like
whatever
with
the case is.
football, you pay to look at it online.
See
Like,
that
and
Lexi's
the
got
kiddos get the money.
So Lexi's got it.
I was just gonna say, I know one thing we'd have to be careful about is, like, I have students in my class who parents have not signed the waiver where they would be allowed to be posted on social media or broadcast in any way, and
That's
then,
the,
so you would either have to say, like, you guys get to perform, but you don't, or
Yeah,
those
we
sorts of
wouldn't
things,
want
so you have
that at
to,
all. But
you have to watch that, because I know in my
Sure.
class, I have 2 students who are not allowed to be put
that's
out
the,
into the world, which is
We
just
can-
fine.
yeah, and we can check in some of those things too in the
Yeah.
capabilities, but I
Sure.
do, it's a logical thing. In our society today, that's what we can
Right,
do.
no,
I mean,
no, I'm
so-
thinking income generation
Nope.
for the program itself.
No,
you know?
I agree.
Yeah.
Carlson Crew and Outdoor Learning Spaces, they're working with ECHO, the Early Childhood Health Outdoors, and designing a playground area that way, designing a playground way, and then, I forgot to mention, I guess, and then Shrek Junior is this spring. Strike Junior will be coming out this spring, and they had auditions last week. Last week they had auditions, so anyway, that'll be an enjoyable time as well. So that's what I had for comments, at least that I had down there. I can't think of anything else right now.
Any general public comment?
Lexi, did
Yeah,
Shanna?
I had written down to speak on my own and I'm not.
Okay.
I think you have to take off your jacket.
We're kidding, you don't have to.
I'll be a different person. No, I'm just kidding.
I did write down that
Who's this person here? Who's this person? No.
I did write down that I thought it was 5 minutes instead of 3, so I apologize if I go a minute over. I'll try to speak that. So I know I just shared a statement on behalf of CCCEA, but I wanted to take a minute to share my own story in my own voice. I know you all have been grappling with student retention and increasing student test scores, and I thought I would be able to share some insight by sharing my story. So I grew up in Northeast Colorado near the Nebraska border, and when I was entering middle school, my mom lived in one district and my dad lived in a separate district. And I was given the choice of which I wanted to attend. One district was a much larger district, very similar to our situation here. The high school offered dozens of electives, certification programs that you could graduate with your EMT, other certifications, and AP classes. The other school was tiny. It was 150 kids, K through 12, give or take. The electives that were offered were band, business, or ed. Those were your 3 choices. AP classes didn't exist, and there were no certification classes. And I had to choose which school was I going to attend, the one with all the bells and whistles, or Pete's school. I chose Pete's. It wasn't the small class size as a teenager that drew me in. If anything, that was a detriment. I got along with the other 7 students in my class, but we weren't exactly similar. It obviously wasn't the great variety of programming that drew me to Pete's, so why did I go there? It was because going to Pete's and taking English from Maria Roberts was a rite of passage in my family, among my friends, and in the community. It was a rite of passage to complete a book log and a research paper for Maria Roberts. Any alumni can recall vivid memories of staying up until midnight the day before it was due, only to have Mrs. Roberts tear it apart the next day and rebuild it with you so that you could become the best writer you could be. It was also a rite of passage to go from being sternly told to call her Mrs. Roberts as a freshman, and then getting to call her Maria by your senior year. I also wanted to go to prom so that I could hear Mr. Cruz's famous "grinding only belongs in the ag shop" speech before the dance.
Sorry.
She gets an extra minute.
I wanted to take this band with Mrs. Smith to be able to go on the band trip. And it was known that you could take Mrs. Farringer's business classes and you were going to hate everything. But you also had a higher than 50% chance of making it to state FBLA at Vail and a pretty good chance of making it to nationals, which meant you got to go to Orlando. These teachers are the reason I chose Pete's, not the bike techs of the world. It was the relationships they built with families and the community. It was the programs they poured their hearts and souls into that kept me from going to an objectively better school. And these programs and relationships didn't happen overnight or even within a year or 2. They were built over time by dedicated and hardworking teachers who stayed at their schools. This is my 2nd year in the district, and I am a better educator for this district now than I was a year ago. And I truly believe I will be even better if I stay another year. When you turn over staff, you turn over relationships and knowledge. Not just knowledge about education and years of experience, but specific knowledge of your community, your students, your curriculum, and your district goals. If you truly want to strengthen retention and improve academic achievement, you have to start from the ground up. You have to retain your teachers. Relationships and programs are not going to grow and improve if there continues to be a high turnover within staff. So I challenge you tonight. Ask yourself this question. Why should our teachers, our paraprofessionals, our custodians, and our staff stay? Why should our teachers stay? Why should I, Alexis Johnson, stay? It is not an easy question, and there's no easy answer. But I would like you to take some time to think about why staff and even students should stay. Thank you.
You got the CCEDC resolution.
Oh, yeah, I have questions, you know. Kelly answered a lot of my questions last time around in the and stuff. I am still just kind of grappling a little bit, and I understand, Kelly, why this could be important or is important for the municipalities, the county, the various institutions around. But when I think about the educator or the Board of Education director hat that I wear, I'm grappling with why, right? Like for Gilpin is one of our main competitors. Where, how does it make sense that we would collaborate with them knowing that, you know, we're grappling with student count, obviously they have their own issues, and how does this help us anyway?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's not a competition. Economic development is not a competition like that. And I think why it benefits us from an educational perspective is a great question. And I think the biggest benefit that it has is being a partner with the business community and the jurisdiction so that we understand what are we trying to recruit, what are the challenges that our community has from a workforce place, and how might the school be able to fill some of those gaps. How do we work more closely together on our CTE options, on curriculum that makes sense so that we can ideally think about how we are providing pathways for our kids to stay in our community. There's nowhere for our kids to work right now or they're going to make a high living unless they go to Denver or other places. How might we participate in that? It's not about sharing trade secrets or trying to take employees or students or workers from one place to another place. It's really about how we elevate all of the place and how we partner to make our community stronger and our community is not just political boundary. In my opinion, we have people that live and work all over our community. And how do we think about that more broadly, especially given the closure of the mine, the over-reliance that our two communities have on one industry in each community, and how do we partner as a bigger coalition to figure out how we solve that challenge. And so I don't think and I think our part is minimal of listening. And so if what we are learning is, oh my gosh, our workers, our business community doesn't have workforce that can do X, Y, Z, we have a logical place that we could step in a very timely way and provide opportunity, which I think if we want to now get into a competitive place, I think that sets us apart, is that it's like we are able to respond, build programs, build CTEs, better partner with Red Rocks Warren Tech to fill the needs that our community has before they get more pronounced. So I think that's the benefit that we have from kind of an educator perspective.
So how is that different than what is currently being presented as the CCDC now, today? Isn't that the structure now?
We don't do this today. This is this would be a new entity, a new resilience team that would lead. It doesn't exist now.
So basically the board right now is Gilpin and Clear Creek.
No, the board, this isn't a board issue.
No, I know
This is a
that.
community issue. So the board is comprised of business and government and small government. So we have on the board is myself. We have two bankers. We have Gilpin County and Clear Creek County. We have, we just welcomed a new board member from an outdoor recreation company. We are recruiting from a casino HR person to come and participate on that way. And then we've got, and then each community is designating a person. It may or may not be a government employee will represent and report on. So that'll be members like Amy Saxon who report on the housing. And I think we have a part to play in that conversation. What are we doing from housing? We can give updates on the things that we are doing. Where I think right now everybody is siloed, so you don't know what somebody is doing unless you have a relationship and you explicitly ask the question. So I think it's a very different place from how we are operating today.
I would welcome a motion to approve the resolution.
I would move to that the Clear Creek School District, I need to read the full resolution.
Well, we can do the motion first and then do discussion and then we can read it into the record.
Okay, I think you could probably just read the
But-
top. Okay, so I move that Clear Creek School District approves resolution number 2024-8, a resolution supporting the formation of a regional resilience team to support, advise, and lead economic development initiatives in Clear Creek and Gilpin.
Any additional discussion? Oh, yes, that.
Am I think I'm probably conflicted. Second, am I?
Probably, I think it'd be fair
To not?
to not.
It'd be fair to
Yeah.
not do that.
Yeah.
I would agree. I hadn't thought about that. But yes, I would agree.
So we still two people. I'll second.
Additional discussion.
I mean, I think this is an important place. I think every kind of government entity has approved. So I mean, I don't know, to be honest, I don't know if we are approaching Gilpin County School District as a partner. I think this feedback is interesting and we can share that, but I do think it's really important that we formalize our commitment to being a part of solving our economic development challenges and recognizing the inherent part that education plays. So I think we would be remiss to be the odd man out.
If I could add to that, and I don't know about Gilpin School District, I have no idea. I got this from Brian Monson. Like in mid-November. I think I said that last meeting. I got it. Yeah, I was going to say something about that. You know, and I think the message that he had was, take a look at this. We're trying to do things collaboratively together as a team or something. I don't know if he said that. Maybe that's my interpretation that way. But yeah, I think it's we need economic development, just like every place does that, or almost every place needs economic development of some sort, because that can help enrollment too.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, yeah.
But
I
I
mean,
mean,
economic development is key to our community and where we're going with it, how we bring in families, I mean, that's the big picture.
so, yeah.
I still don't have a real great understanding of this, but I will support.
Do we have to vote or do we need to
We
read
need
it
to
into the record?
I'll read it in and then we can vote. How about
Okay.
that? All right. Clear Creek School District Resolution Number 2024-8, a resolution supporting the formation of a regional resilience team to support, advise, and lead economic development initiatives in Clear Creek and Gilpin counties. Whereas Clear Creek County recognizes the importance of a sustainable and resilient economic base in creating diverse, livable, affordable communities that are equitably accessible to all ages, incomes, and abilities, including but not limited to quality housing, childcare, employment, education, healthcare, transportation, infrastructure, recreation, and natural resources. And whereas Clear Creek County strives not only to be a desirable community for residents to live, work, and do business, but also as a frequented destination for visitors. And whereas Clear Creek County strives to create a robust and reliable annual revenue stream supported by sustainable sources, in turn contributing to an environment where our residents are provided opportunities to thrive. And whereas Clear Creek County recognizes that there are shared community barriers that are better addressed together through regional teamwork. And whereas economic development should not be constrained by political boundaries, which is why both Clear Creek and Gilpin counties desire to work collaboratively with neighboring community partners to improve the economic well-being and quality of life in the region. And whereas Clear Creek County is experiencing a declining extraction industry that historically accounted for approximately 70% of its business personal property tax, inevitably putting a strain on public services. And whereas following the significant economic impacts felt by Gilpin County as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, it became clear that a more diverse and sustainable economic base is needed to support critical public services moving forward. And whereas the Clear Creek Economic Development Corporation, CCEDC, a 501c36 nonprofit organization, provides economic development services to Clear Creek County and its municipalities. And over the past 2 years, more actively engaged in Gilpin County and its municipalities. And whereas in February 2024, the CCEDC convened county and municipal leaders, business owners, and community stakeholders to discuss economic resilience, which informed and led to the development of the CCEDC Region 3 Economic Resilience Framework. And Whereas the CCEDC Region 3 Economic Resilience Framework recommends the formation of a regional resilience team to encourage collaborative leadership in economic development. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Clear Creek School District that the formation of a regional resilience team to support, advise, and lead economic development initiatives in Clear Creek and Gilpin counties is supported. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the Clear Creek School District will appoint a representative to participate as a member of the regional resilience team commencing in January 2025.
All right, Flanagan,
I have to abstain.
okay, Haig,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
North.
Yes.
So we should probably add to our study session the appointment piece, since that's how we're doing it.
Thank you, Lori.
You got it.
Thanks for keeping track of this.
Policy work.
Yes.
Policies under second read are JIH, student interrogations, and JICA, student dress code. I assume that there are no additional. We've done a lot of work on this.
And I think, I mean, and then capturing exactly what we completed and participated and participated on last time. It looks good to me.
I move that we adopt policy JIH, student interrogations on second.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
North.
Yes.
I would also, excuse me, like to move that we advance policy or approve policy JICA, the student dress code on second. Second?
Flanagan,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
King, McHugh,
Yes.
North.
Yes. Policies under first read. DVD, staff vacations and holidays, GCL, professional staff schedules and calendars, and ICICA, school year, school calendar and instruction time. And most of these had to do with moving to the 4-day week and just cleaning up the language to reflect the new 4-week school week. So we do have, we received some feedback from CCCEA, thank you. And then we have some responses from Tom and Kristen in our folder here too. So I would.
Kristen, did you get any feedback on your responses to the CCDA?
Did they come to us? Or
They
did
came
go-
just to you.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha. Oh,
Would you
that feels a
suggest?
little weird.
Yeah.
Could we
Well,
share that?
yeah, I'm
We can
happy to give
discuss
the responses here. I think what we've done in the past, because at the study session we had and a comment, and then I just gave the response here. Because there's no
Right.
way for me to publicly put out, and I don't want to get in the situation where there's a conversation going through the Google Doc.
Uh-huh.
But they haven't seen these responses.
No. So my plan was to share them here.
So let's talk
Okay.
about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So I assume you've seen the.
Yes.
Okay. So the first question or the first comment was, we respect that additional time is required to update planning minutes in number 3 and look forward to that discussion at a later date. And so that's all. What I told Rachel was that's really tied to Brandy's schedule. And I think Brandy's schedule probably isn't going to change it, but I didn't know when we had the conversation. So that is paused for the moment.
Okay.
The next one was, for consistency, we request the language in number 1 match the language in the CBA and read shall not exceed 168 days. So my comment back was that I was fine to say that it shall not exceed 168 days. But then there's some other things that are mentioned down below that kind of contradict that. But if we say shall not exceed 168 days, at this point, until we get through the rest of the comments, I'm okay with that. The next one was, in order to protect our paid lunch, we suggest this wording for number 3. The workday for full-time licensed employees shall include a half-hour paid duty-free lunch. So I think that there's a misinterpretation of this part of the policy because nobody in the district receives a paid lunch. The workday was when it was a 5-day work week, it was an 8-hour workday with a half-hour duty-free lunch. So you still have your half-hour duty-free lunch. Your pay rate when it was a 5-day workday was calculated on 8 hours a day. Like that's how we got the daily rate. So I just want to make sure that, and that's for every position in the district. Nobody has a paid lunch, which would be lovely, but.
Right. I think a lot of our conversations where it's like a lot of memory work of people who were involved in the first iteration. So
yeah.
I can see where that got confused.
Yeah.
And I will make sure we know. Thank you.
And a duty-free lunch is, everybody's entitled to a duty-free lunch. Then the last one was the addition of 2 working days still does not account for the district's required 1530 minutes. And we propose the language to Part 4. Educators will engage in professional responsibilities not limited to professional learning, supporting students, family engagement, and individual preparation to fulfill working 1530 hours per school year. For this reason, no more than 36 hours of contract time not evident in the staff calendar are allotted for professional learning, family engagement, student support, and/or individual preparation. These allotted hours shall be determined at the building level. Except in emergency situations, however, employees shall be provided reasonable notice of such extra hour requirements. Additionally, educators hope to have input on them and how these days are allotted. Honestly, I would say that everything listed above is what educators should be doing anyway. It's still what I tried to explain, and I'm happy to show the actual calculations if that's what's needed, but the way the calendar is, put aside the nifty 50, like I think we can all agree it was never 50 hours. It comes out to 36 hours-ish.
I don't know how 50-50 can.
I think because it just sounded
I struggle
cool.
with that. It's like, why is it 50-50? It's 50 hours. Go ahead.
It rhymed. Some years it will be like 5 hours under the 1530, and some years we might be 5 hours over the 1530, just because of when holidays fall and how many 5-day weeks we have in a school year, how many 4-day weeks we have in a school year, and how many 1, 2, or 3-day school weeks we have in a school year. So
and when you say 5-day weeks, just for clarification on that, what that means with the 1 Friday a month of professional development, that's the 5-day week. Because I got caught up on that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like,
so I'm going with the benefit of the doubt that it averages out year over year to 36 hours. So it's still, for me, the bottom line is, it's one of the things, and I know you came a year after I came, but my big thing when I joined this district is that my role was to be fair and equitable to every employee, because every employee pre-Kristen was not treated fair and equitably. And I can't, in good faith, say that, yeah, teachers put in extra hours, and because everybody puts in extra hours, and we're just going to cut 2 days off of their calendar year. That's not fair to your other members who are in other positions, and it's not fair to everybody else in the district who is working the exact number of days that is their calendar. And so going back to putting in the language in the policy, the suggestion was to make it match the CBA, which says shall not exceed 168 days. What the classified CBA states is that, give me 1 second to find it. It says, I just had it, hold on. It basically states that every employee will work their assigned number of days for their position. Because, yeah. Questions?
I mean, you answered the question. And just to point out, we're gonna probably vote on this tonight, but that's the first vote, there'll be another vote, and we'll have the opportunity to receive more.
Yes.
Okay.
was a lovely segue. I'd like to move to approve policy GDD, which is not the one we were just discussing, but policy GDD is first on our agenda, staff vacations and holidays on first read.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
North.
Yes.
I really appreciate the narrative this morning, having that, I think was really helpful. Thank you for putting it together and thanks for walking through it so it could be on our record tonight. I reiterate what Carrie Ann said, this is first reading in order to kind of stick with our schedule and our timeframes that we need to be under. Welcome continued feedback. With that, I'd like to move policy GCL on first read. That is professional staff schedules and calendars. A second?
Flanagan,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
North.
Yes.
I would also like to move policy IC-ICA, which is school calendar and instruction time on first reading. A second?
Flanagan,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
North.
Yes.
In review of the consent agenda, there was nothing that was striking to me. It was nice to actually look at one without a staffing update. So I would like to move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Haig, King,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes, but I just want to add, thank you, Lauren. Your minutes are amazing.
I-
Thank you.
She deserves that, thank you.
Wow. It's just,
Those are me.
wow.
I
Two
just-
years ago, we had an audit that said your minutes aren't so great.
I just talked to her about that. I
Yeah.
just talked to her about that last week. I go, "Your minutes are something." You know?
That's
Did I
okay.
just say that to you?
It's almost like half the time I don't even have to go back and look at the videos.
Before we adjourn, I do have a.
Okay, I would also like to
North.
say yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
I forgot to update something in my board update, and I did just get confirmed. There is going to be a bill dropping at the legislature around cell phone ban. In initial stakeholding, there's not been a lot of stakeholding at all with school districts. So CASB is very concerned about the bill as it sits today, because there's been such little stakeholding with school districts. Majority, from what CASB is reporting, already has a policy in place, one way or the other, or a practice. But I did just want to flag that as something that I think we could expect early in the legislative session.
I didn't get to do my report, but the one thing that's of most importance to me is that the Georgetown Community School has another bratwurst and thing this weekend. It's not a Christmas market, but go buy some beer, bratwurst in Georgetown.
On Saturday? Or
On
what day?
Saturday
Saturday.
and Sunday. It's at the Hotel Capri, yeah, the holiday something.
Is Krampus gonna be there?
We're doing that one next year, Kelly.
It's gonna be the
That's
big 10 again.
intent on the end, yes.
I'll try to
That's his
get up there.
favorite place to be. So,
What time is that from Saturday? and
yeah.
Sunday?
It starts at 10 to 6, I think it is.
Good. Try to get up there.
Future agenda items. Zach, go for it.
Can we talk about study sessions and Idaho Springs?
I was gonna say, would we like to review our schedule for the winter, because I know those of you coming from the west, it's ski season, so I was gonna ask whether location and or would be beneficially gained to make sure that there's clear on.
Is there any benefit that we rotate? Because it feels like we're either doing something that is really hard for you, or we're doing something that's really hard for you. And so I wonder if instead of doing something always hard for one of you, we maybe could consider rotating around a
Well,
little
isn't
bit.
Idaho Springs kind of central for?
Well, it's super awesome for me, except when
Yeah,
I'm in Denver,
yeah.
which is most of the day.
Right.
So it's not, it's about 40 minutes.
About 40 for me now. Yeah. Yeah, let's go. No, I think we can have a discussion and maybe that's something out. And I agree that sometimes, and it's not so much on a Tuesday or Thursday the speed traffic, but every once in a while it does happen on the snow days where, and I guess as long as it's okay with you guys, that if I have to pull over and not come all the way in and remote in, that's not optimal, but I would also probably want to do a touch base on the west end to see what they think about the 5 o'clock start, and does that mean that they can also be accommodated in this time, because their kids are also going skiing.
Right. So that was,
But for me, you know, in my mind, I was working with everything else, but I was also thinking maybe study sessions, just because we don't have a huge crowd. You know, it's not the production, it's not the presentations, that maybe that one would be better suited for Idaho.
Well, I had it suggested to me last night, not suggested, but brought up that like previously, this may be back to the days of Mitch, that study sessions were much more casual. And in her mind, they were much more productive. I mean, it's still a public meeting, people can still come and participate, we can still post it online and everything. But she just was like,
We used to do them at Two Brothers.
yeah, she was like, it was much more productive that she thought that the board had a lot more conversations in that setting than like formal setting.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
There was a lot of coffee involved. There really was.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it. Something to discuss, I guess.
would you like to see that on the study session?
I would. You guys are okay with it? Doesn't sound resounding, but yeah.
So I think the thing that you went, and you guys know communities far better than I do. I think the one benefit of having it at a consistent location that everybody knows where it's at, instead of somebody coming here and it's over there, you know, but if you're really looking for the meeting, you should know where it's at anyway. But that is the one thing that I would say. But I also understand the travel time for people. Yeah,
I really feel like business meetings should.
Yeah.
But I also understand the travel time for people too,
Right.
and also this, I got caught in traffic on Saturday for a long time.
Well, and you're right. I mean, I do spend a lot of time at Copper, you know, time. It's tricky, but I'll make it work. There'll be some fumbles, but yeah.
Yeah,
We can talk
getting
about
some feedback from our students as well, because I think a 4 o'clock start, a 5 o'clock start,
Not
obviously
working.
is not.
And one of the reasons
Yeah.
why we did those time changes was to get their input, so.
Yeah.
we would
More
revisit
educators and
that.
students, and I mean, obviously
Yeah.
today is a different day.
Yeah, sure.
But.
And also, if we move it up to Idaho Springs, we have student representatives in this building, we're expecting them to drive.
No, yeah, business meetings should be here. But, oh, I see what you're saying.
But you still
for
study, yeah.
study sessions,
I was
yeah.
just thinking about Erica too, you have your students who, that would be
That would be hard. for them.
very challenging.
You're right.
You could go back in time and do it all on Zoom.
I would
Horrible.
just be on to the next, we talked about it, but I want to have the PTO add it as a, maybe, like, give an update.
Should we do that for all the schools?
Yeah,
Or take
sure, just create a
Give them the
space
option to come in
and
and feedback or
just,
updates.
we can send a more formal email invitation, just that this is a space where they are all welcome to come and bring feedback, their events, because sometimes it's just nice to hear it out loud. The
Right.
new calendar is fantastic, but
Yes.
it is nice when an educator or student comes and says, come see me.
And with the new calendar, we will be having training for the elementary schools, which will get back to me, sometime after break too. So they'll start getting on their, you know, concerts and things like that. There won't be a lot of elementary stuff on there, but we will have that. You know.
And so I've talked with you about this a little bit, because we're doing work on roof replacements. Given that today, having kind of a solar backup or a backup generator might have allowed us to open a school.
Yeah, solar pieces on these roofs should be investigated.
And I have talked to Erin, and Erin has talked to me about it. I cannot remember what our conversation was. I saw it this morning, and I was going to text him actually about it, but I will contact him.
Yeah, we have a lot of flat roofs, and I think that we've got the engineering to accommodate the parts that are out there now, the technology that's a lot lighter.
I know he was looking into it. I meet with him weekly, so I'll check with
One
him.
thing that is a question is he's getting the bids for both of these roofs to make sure that they can adapt
We can
or
talk with him
have
about
the
that.
weight test.
Especially with the one that has 2 roofs that have to come on, right? The other thing I'd like to see that we start investigating, and this came up as a result of investigating grants and opportunities for the 4th floor, and, you know, the pathway was going down this way, but I would like for us as a board to discuss the possibilities or the not possibilities of us having a Clear Creek School District homeschool program. And what would that look like? And is that even something that we can do, should do? What-
Because right now, we've got a chunk of, we can count students going to Byers. correct?
We can count the kids who are going to fires. And I have a couple of moles over there, so I'm getting a lot of feedback too, but, they're getting a lot of our kids, and I was talking to a couple of teachers. Even one of my students decided in 10th grade, I think it was, Mom, I'm checking out for a little bit, I'm homeschooling now. And it wasn't like you could only homeschool for a little bit, or you're homeschooling. So we got all dug into it, and she's 6 weeks later, no, this just isn't for me, And if she didn't have the connection, she had to Clear Creek already because she was in Palm, she did the other extracurricular things. I mean, it was natural for her to come right back into Clear Creek. What I'm saying is that we've got homeschoolers that are homeschooling and going out in the world, and for whatever reason, they don't think that it's okay for them to tip their toes back in, into the district that they flared at. And if we were to provide the opportunity for them, and there's a multitude of reasons why kids homeschool, there's a ton of them. And that's part of what I want to narrow down, what are the main reasons. But, can we accommodate that? Can we provide a program as well as to help them reintegrate when they want to?
Into that, I would just get actually.
And that was
Yeah,
different
yeah,
than what I had
that's
talked to you
different,
about, so,
that would
yeah.
But yeah, I can look into that more so and get some financials on it, the aspect of involvement. I do think there are multiple reasons that people do homeschool.
They do.
It's not because I don't like the schools. But
No, not always.
It's
Absolutely.
different reasons, but
Sometimes-
we can look into it, and I have some experience with that, some thoughts on that too. But yeah, I can look into that, tomorrow. Yeah.
Take a
Sounds
break.
good.
All right.
Adjourn. Second?
Flanagan,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McHugh,
Merry Christmas, everyone, yes.
North.
Yes. We have some
Merry Christmas to all of you as well.
Oh.
I was gonna bring, I had caramels and fudge on a
Sure you
paper
did,
plate.
sure.
Paper plates all wrapped up, gonna bring here.
No, I
somebody
brought
came
all of those for everybody.
over there, and they're sitting on my kitchen counter yet, so I apologize for that, so.